All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to have you here. Glad to see you this afternoon. And we're on Facebook Live as well as here on Zoom Live. So glad to be here, having a wonderful day. Looking forward to some special things taking place in our Time to Tell the Truth series. Yes, that's that old TV show, To Tell the Truth. Always tells my age when we talk about that, right? But my name is Dr. Rosalind Shaw Belt. Everybody calls me Dr. Roz. I am the CEO of Dream to Life, LLC, INC, Productions, Ministry. I'm a wife. I am a musician. I do a lot of things that I've been blessed to do in my lifetime. I have two doctorates. You're going to hear me talk about some things, but I'm not a medical doctor. But my doctorates are in theology and divinity. And previously been a co-pastor, love to motivate, love teaching is my passion. But my calling here today will be as a result of being a certified wellness coach. I have certifications as a entrepreneur and a lifestyle consultant, as well as being a certified wellness coach with our Flat Belly Lifestyle 2.0 program. But let's talk about the subject of the hour today.
Milk is sure helping me get stronger. Back when I started high school, guys pushed me around. Just because I was smaller. But I was working out, drinking milk, developing my muscles. By senior year, milk had made a difference.
Pardon me, guys.
I love this part.
Pardon me, guys.
So as you can see, it pays to be big on milk. Milk. It does a body good.
How many of you remember that kind of commercial? We heard it over and over and over again. It was ingrained in our spirits, right? But I'm going to tell you something. That was the biggest lie they ever told us. Now, I hope you're ready for this because you came to Time to Tell the Truth. Here we go.
I'm not feeling too well. I must not have counted correctly. I need to give up on this correction.
You need something that has your back when life happens. With the MiniMed 780G Systems meal detection technology, counting carbs and occasionally forgetting to bolus no longer have to be such a big worry. Every 5 minutes.
Mucus is a thick, sticky substance that is produced in your respiratory tract. It serves a very important role because it helps protect your lungs from infection and foreign particles. However, when the body produces too much mucus, it can lead to a number of problems including difficulty breathing, coughing, and a runny nose. With that said, most people are unaware that the foods that you eat in your diet may actually be what's causing excess mucus to accumulate in the airways of your lungs. And one type of food in particular that we need to discuss is dairy. And that is the topic of this video. So, if you're ready, let's get into it. When we consume milk or other dairy products, our bodies produce an enzyme called lactase. Lactase helps us break down the lactose in dairy products so that we can absorb it into our bloodstream. However, some people lack the ability to produce lactase, which means that their bodies can't break down lactose properly. As a result, undigested lactose arrives in the large intestine where it interacts with bacteria and causes gas and bloating. In addition, the body's natural reaction to this problem is to produce more mucus in an attempt to flush out the lactose. This can even lead to other problems such as diarrhea, constipation, and nausea. In fact, one study found that participants who drank milk had a higher amount of mucus in their nose on average than those who didn't. Milk drinkers were also more likely to have a sore throat and experience colds more often. Additionally, one commonality between many dairy products is the high level of saturated fat that they contain. Saturated fats are also believed to increase mucus production. Cheese is no exception as it is made from the milk of cows, which contain a high level of saturated fat. Saturated fats cause the body to produce more mucus in order to protect itself from the harmful effects of the fat. In addition, dairy products are also commonly loaded with artificial flavors and preservatives, which can also lead to increased mucus production. So if you're looking to avoid congestion and excess mucus, it might be a good idea to skip the cheese plate and other dairy products. Not to mention, some other foods that can cause increased mucus include bread, processed meat, sugar, fast food, soda, eggs, corn, and foods that are high in sodium. This is definitely something to consider when selecting foods that you eat in your diet on a regular basis, especially if you're suffering from signs and symptoms that involve excess mucus production. With that said, just a quick reminder, we are not doctors. This video is for informational purposes only. But real quick, if you don't mind, do me a huge favor and hit the like button. It really helps support the channel, and I agree.
Now, don't shoot the messenger, guys. Because see, I know, as soon as you see this, what you mean my cheese? Oh my God, what am I gonna do about my cheese? Oh Lord. Move over dairy. All the dairy, especially the dairy milk. I mean, listen, guys, I'm telling you, we've got to take control of our health. And we've seen it. We were raised with it. Milk does the body good. But look at this. Even the calf says, she's my mom, not yours. Human milk is for humans. Rhino milk is for rhinos. Cow milk is for cows. We're the only species that drinks the milk from another species. So dairy milk is the worst choice for the environment. I know you've been raised on milk, your mama had milk, your grandparents drank milk. But listen, we've been having the same ailments in our body as a result of milk and milk producing other things. Cows are notorious for releasing methane, a potent greenhouse gas responsible for 1/4 of global warming emissions. Poor handling of manure and fertilizers can degrade local water resources. Feed production and farming can lead to the loss of important biodiverse areas such as prairies, wetlands, and forests. Dairy farming also requires a significant amount of land, water, and other resources. And you know, guys, they're not doing the dairy farming like they used to. But not everyone has access or can choose non-dairy milk alternatives. I understand that. If you're opting for dairy milk, try to buy it at least from a local or organic farmer.
Wix gives you the power of AI to build the website you need. With full.
When you look at cow's milk, it's primarily made up of carbohydrate, which is just sugar, lactose. Okay, now when we look in the world today, 70 to 75% of the world's population is lactose intolerant. Okay, lactose intolerant means that you cannot tolerate the sugar lactose, okay, that is found in milk. Okay, 70% of the world's population. Now, I would go out on a limb to say it's a little bit more. And the reason why I'll say that is because most people don't recognize the signs and symptoms of being intolerant to milk. That's the first thing. The other thing that I think is really important is that, especially for the Black and brown community, that number goes up exponentially, okay? We've seen in studies where, you know, Black and brown people ranging from Africans like myself to Asians, they have an increased intolerance to milk as well too, okay? So keep that in mind as we kind of go through this, because, you know, if the world is saying 75% of the population, okay, that's 3/4, that's 3 out of 4 people are intolerant to milk. That's saying that humans probably shouldn't be drinking milk. Okay, so that's the first thing, or its products. Okay, like I said, cheese, yogurt, sour cream, butter, etc. Really, really important. Okay, so the first main component of milk is going to be the sugar, the carbohydrate, the lactose. Okay, the other part is going to be the protein. Okay, particularly in cow's milk, you're going to find the proteins casein and whey. And I'm going to jump into why those two particular proteins are so dangerous in a bit, but it's really important to understand those are the particular proteins that are found in milk. And those, again, are the proteins that are designed to take a 100-pound calf and make it a 1,000-pound cow in about a year's time. Okay, really important. And then the other component is going to be the fat. Okay, and then when you're looking at the fat in cow's milk, 65% of it, 65% is saturated fat, the kind of fat that lines the walls of your vessels in the heart and cause a heart attack. Okay, that occlude the arteries and cause a stroke. 65% of that milk is made of that. Okay, really, really important. All right. And so milk quite often is one of the primary ways we load ourselves up with saturated fat. And I'll talk to you in a bit why that is a big problem. Okay. Now let's get into, there's some studies that were conducted by the PCRM, which is the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. And they have linked milk, the same milk that they did the Got Milk commercials for, the same milk that the USDA was telling us that we should have in certain amounts every day for years in the food pyramid. Today's research, the studies have connected milk with heart disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and even prostate cancer. Okay? Again, one of the primary reasons is because milk is inflammatory to our bodies. It's very inflammatory to our bodies. I'll talk about that in a second, but milk is connected with all of those diseases. And when you start to look at them, many of them are in the top 5 causes of death for humans. Okay? Again, let's jump into now number 2, why milk is so scary. Okay, number 2 is because milk is a major source of hormones. Okay, and I cannot tell you the amount of issues that I'm seeing with both men and women when it comes to having hormonal imbalance. And one of the primary ways that we're driving that imbalance is by adding a lot of these hormones to our bodies that actually shouldn't be there. Now, what's really important to understand about it is that, yes, the milk that you're drinking today has tons of hormones in it that are what are called exogenous hormones. These are hormones that are injected into the animal, okay? And they inject these hormones into the animals to cause them to grow bigger in a shorter period of time. But also what's really important, particularly about cow's milk, is that not only do you have to be concerned about the hormones that are coming from the outside of the cow being injected into them, but you also have to be concerned about the hormones that are naturally produced by the cows. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because a lot of people will go out and they'll buy milk that is so-called, grass-fed, no hormones, no antibiotics. But what they're not accounting for is the fact that the hormones that are naturally in the cow, when you consume the milk, you're getting those hormones. And those hormones are perfectly fine for a cow, but they're gonna throw your hormones off. So it's really important to understand that, because not only, again, are you getting these unnatural man-made hormones being injected into the cow, which do damage enough by itself, but the hormones that are naturally produced by the cow are actually causing these hormonal imbalances too. And these hormonal imbalances are leading to estrogen dominance in women that leads to having very severe PMS during their cycle. Okay, it also leads to breast cancer, ovarian cancer, all of these reproductive cancers, prostate cancer, testosterone issues in men, which is a huge issue that I brought up before, and I'll definitely do another video on. But a large source of the hormonal imbalance is coming from consuming dairy products, which is primarily, the foundation is milk. Okay, even acne, a lot of acne that is happening today is hormonal as well too. Number three, the reason why dairy is scary is because of the protein, particularly the casein protein. What we've been able to see in studies, particularly the study conducted by the China Project. The China Project is a 30-year study conducted with over 6,000 participants and over 600 different metrics that they measure. And one of the things that they found was that casein increased the risk for developing cancer. Okay, casein, the protein that is in milk. Okay, not Not something that they injected in the cow, something that is naturally there, because that is good for the cow, but not necessarily good for you as the human being. But the casein increases the risk for cancer. And what they found is that casein protein increases what is called IGF-1. IGF-1 is insulin growth factor, okay, which is inflammatory, and not only inflammatory to the body, so it could be the cause of your joint and muscle pain, but also it's inflammatory where it causes, if you have tumors in a body, it causes those tumors to grow, okay? So casein is another reason why dairy is so scary, okay? Now, I know if you're like shaking in your boots at this point because most of this information is new to you, again, it's really important to understand that a lot of the science that we grew up on and they were telling us this is the way we should eat, these are the things that are healthy for us, a lot of that is outdated and antiquated, okay? So this is just me merely giving you a PSA, okay? The other thing why dairy is so scary is because it increases your exposure to pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides. And the reason why is because cows are fed genetically modified soy and corn. Most cows are not grass-fed, okay? I will go out on a limb to say 90% of cows are not grass-fed, okay? And it's probably leaning more closer to 98%. And the reason why is because cows aren't growing on a farm, grazing, out, okay? They're in stalls and livestock, farms. They're not being, it's not like the picture that they put on the milk carton, okay? They've been grown in these mass factories. They grew up shoulder to shoulder to each other. They're not able to roam and eat grass, okay? Which is what they're supposed to be eating, okay? And so as a result, a lot of these cows are being fed this genetically modified soy and corn and so forth because it's cheap, one. And that's genetically modified soy and corn, which 90% of soy and about 95% of corn today is genetically modified. It has to be sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides. I mean, I'm a farmer, I own a farm. You can see these people out in the fields, spraying their crops in hazmat suits, because it's so dangerous. And if you look up, some of the statistics on farmers who grow conventionally, because conventional means they're growing by spraying, the increase in the amount of cancer in these farmers is crazy, okay? And so a lot of these animals are being fed this genetically modified corn and soy, which is sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides. And these things kill all pesticides. These things will kill off certain herbs, which why we want to kill off herbs, but we do because they can overgrow and strangle the crop sometimes. And insects, which is really important because some of these insects are pollinating, but they kill these things off. And when they kill them off, they also are unfortunately unhealthy for you as well when you consume them. When they spray these plants with these pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides, the unfortunate thing is that they don't leave. A lot of this you can't just wash off, okay? So it's really important. Increasing your pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides is going to increase the amount of gut inflammation and gut dysbiosis, an unhealthy gut, but it's also going to lead to an increase in cancer as well too. All right. And also you're getting a lot of antibiotics as well too. It increases your exposure to antibiotics when you're consuming milk as well too.
So here's the thing. Dr. Bobby Price says dairy is scary. Don't shoot the messenger. So now that we hopefully understand that we should not be that species that's drinking from another species, we should drink our mother's milk when we're born, and then after that, that's it. So then let's talk about plant milk, because you say, well, what can I do? So if it's not coming from a mammal that suckles its young, why do we call it plant-based milk, right? Well, that term plant-based milk signifies a similar function to dairy milk. These beverages are often used as substitutes in recipes and to add to coffee or tea. It's also a marketing strategy to make plant-based beverages a little more appealing to consumers that are seeking a dairy-free alternative. In many cultures and cuisines, they've been using plant milks for millennia. Most weren't called milk until the 20th century. The first one documented dates back to 1365 in China, where soy milk appeared in written text and was likely around, of course, for much longer.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up, we've got shake video.
More Australians are moving towards plant-based milks made from nuts, legumes and even hemp. But not all these non-dairy varieties are as nutritious as we're led to believe. Medical reporter Emily Rice explains.
Busy owner of Beat Coffee Cafe and Reservoir, Lee Mellington says a quarter of his brews are now made with non-bovine milks.
Soy is still pretty popular, but almond has come up and oat is it's growing very quickly.
And plant-based alternatives continue to spring up, with barley, pistachio, even hemp derivatives replacing cow's milk in many Australians' diets.
Some people don't tolerate it, so they're looking for alternatives, or maybe they just don't like the taste.
The Dietitians Association of Australia says not all milk mimics are made equal when it comes to nutrition. Number one is soy, which is the most comparable to dairy, with a small cup containing almost 7 grams of protein and 220 milligrams of calcium. Runner-up is oat, with just over 2 grams of protein and 206 milligrams of calcium. But the calcium content of almond and rice milks is much lower, and both contain just 1 gram of protein per cup. Whipping the competition is dairy, with more macronutrients, including healthy fats, than all the others.
So really, I could probably spruik the benefits of cow's milk to the cows come home.
The other factor that may influence your drop of choice is price. At this cafe, coffees made with milk alternatives cost an extra 50 cents, but other baristas may charge even more. In the supermarket, dairy and soy can be as cheap as $1.15 a carton, but oat and almond is often more than twice that price. And while weird milk requests no longer surprise this barista, there are other changing tastes to contend with.
The thing that shocks us the most is people asking for extra hot these days.
Emily Rice, 9 News.
So we got all these choices. So let's take a look at some of the choices, because even some of the choices may or may not be choices that we want to do. But let's see where they come from. Soy milk, made from soaked and ground soybeans. Now, we also talk about blood type. So if soy is not according to your blood type, then of course, this wouldn't relate to you. But its history dates way back to the 12th century. And it became a staple in traditional Chinese cooking by the 17th century. Now, most of the plant-based milks are more environmentally friendly. Soy milk is one of the most widely grown crops in the world. It uses less water and land than what was used for dairy milk. But a study published in the Food Climate Research Network by Oxford University in 2020 shows that production is leading contributor to Amazon rainforest deforestation. So Brazil is among the top 3 global producers of soy, and farmers once cultivated soy as livestock feed, but that was shifted to accommodate rising consumer demand for soy milk. You go on the shelf and you see it everywhere. There's a great demand for soy milk.
Is soy milk healthy or not? So this question does come up a lot, and maybe you've wondered this yourself, if this is a healthy alternative to some of the other milks that you may have consumed in the past. Well, this is something that when we talk about soy milk, it really does depend on the health of those soybeans and their origin. Most soy milks will contain some cane sugar, so that's something to consider, especially if it's a sweetened variety and it is flavored. It will have some sugar, so you really have to check the labels of that soy milk. Now, if soy is not fermented, so you have to keep in consideration here that most of the studies done on the health benefits of taking soy, and in certain, indigenous diets in certain parts of the world, like in Japan, the studies are very promising for people that are consuming soy products. Most times, though, that soy is fermented. And if it's not fermented, like most of the soy products in terms of soy milk, it can be very hard to digest. So when we talk about fermented soy, things like miso and tempeh, it makes it, because it is already broken down, it's fermented, makes it easier on the digestive tract, and that's why the soy has so many health attributes. Now, one of the drawbacks in North America is that most of the soy that is produced is GMO, so it is genetically modified. The good thing about soy milk, however, is that it does have some protein. So it's higher in protein as compared to some of the other plant milks, and the carbohydrates sort of match that cow's milk. So that has it going for itself when we talk about the macronutrients. One of the other drawbacks, though, of soy milk is that it contains a lot of these gels, things like carrageenan as a stabilizer. And this is derived from sea moss, but it can cause a lot of digestive upset and inflammation in the gut for people, especially that are sensitive to that carrageenan. So please check the labels if you do consume that soy milk. Look for those other artificial gums and stabilizers as well. And the other issue with soy milk, especially if it's fortified, is that most times it will contain some synthetic vitamins. And if you know my content, you know that I'm very much against synthetic vitamins and getting your nutrients from synthetic sources if they're chemically based. So things to look out for on your soy milk and other plant milks, for that matter, is cyanocobalamin. That is vitamin B12. It contains cyanide, so may not be something that you want to be ingesting. Vitamin D2, not a readily absorbed form of vitamin D, and not the same type, of course, that your skin makes from natural sunlight exposure. Now, for more information on the foods that maybe you thought...
Wow. See, so the point today is, yes, there are alternatives to dairy. We know we don't need to do dairy. We need to cut it out completely, especially you're having acne and you're having all kinds of skin conditions and asthma and all these kinds of things. I've known people that will cut out dairy and all of that goes away. But then when we reach and get some of these alternatives, we need to be more educated about even the alternatives. So let's look at oat milk. Oat milk in the early 1990s, Swedish food scientist Ricard Oste experimented with making a nutritious, sustainable, non-dairy milk. He landed on the idea of using oats, a common and inexpensive crop in Sweden. Made by soaking oats in water, straining the mixture into a creamy liquid, he found Oatly in 1994. It began exporting in the early 2010s. Now, one of the most popular non-dairy milk alternatives in North America. Put in the chat if you like soy milk or oat milk. I forgot to do that for the soy, but I want to know if you like oat milk. Now, it uses 60% less energy, 80% fewer carbon emissions, and 80% less land than cow's milk, according to a 2021 study. Oats use the least amount of water when compared to other plants. And an Oxford University study concluded that a glass of oat milk requires 80% less water than a glass of dairy milk. The production still requires land and energy, including for growing, transportation, and processing. Commercial growing processes may also use pesticides and fertilizers, which have negative impacts on land, water, and ecosystems. Almond milk. Oh my God. How many of you are almond milk users? Put it in the chat. Any almond milk people out there? Yeah, I bet, because it's really a common a milk to use, made from ground almonds and water. Almond milk goes back to medieval Europe and the Middle East. The trees are native to the Middle East. They're one of the earliest trees that humans domesticated. It was not part of ancient Middle Eastern cuisine. It included it in almost all their cookbooks. It continues to rank as the most consumed plant milk in North America. They've got so many different versions of it now. And even though greenhouse gas emissions are of the lowest, it uses less land than dairy milk to produce. But it's notorious for the vast amount of water it requires to grow and process. California grown almonds account for 80% of the world's commercial total land area. The state has suffered ongoing and increasing climate-related droughts, heat waves, and wildfires. While many people in California, they've got to heed statewide emergency water conservation regulations. Each year, the almond industry uses 13% of the developed water supply. Some farmers are using drought-resistant varieties and water-saving irrigation systems, but almond milk continues to be the worst water consumer compared to other plant milks and dairy.
Here's my least to favorite plant-based milks here in Walmart. So let's start off with the Ripple Kids, all right? But let's look into the back. So if we look in the back, remember the first couple of ingredients is what it's made mostly. So we're looking at pea protein blend, right? Sunflower oil and cane sugar. So most of this is made out of sugar and oil with some pea protein. With this, it's probably not a great alternative, especially when we look at the macros and stuff. It has 8 grams of fat, 8 grams of carbs, 8 grams of protein, all right? It's not so bad, but we could find something a lot healthier. This is gonna be the almond and coconut blend. As you can see, it already has 30 calories per serving. But if we look in the back, let's check it out. It's made with filtered water, with some almond coconut milk, and then coconut cream, okay? And then they have the vitamins and minerals in there. Very low in fat, about 2.5. Carbs is less than a gram. No fiber, but no sugar as well, with 1 gram of protein. So this will be a lot healthier.
Well, he gave us a lot of good tips. What is the one tip? Read the labels. Now let's talk about coconut milk. Any coconut milk drinkers? Coconut milk is made from the flesh of mature coconuts soaked in hot water. Origin traced way back in Southeast Asia, where coconuts have been a staple food for centuries. It's been one of the main ingredients in Southeast and South Asia, Caribbean, and Northern South America. Introduced to the North America in the 19th century. Isn't it something that we're the last ones to get this stuff? It ranks in the top 5 most consumed dairy alternatives. Now, as it relates to the environment, coconut trees use much less water than dairy cows. They absorb carbon dioxide, unlike ethane-producing cows. And in their tropical climate, they get 1/3 of their daily water from rainfall. The largest impact coconut production has is on land and wildfire. The producers are often compared to palm oil producers because of the havoc they wreak on surrounding ecosystems. In 2020, the amount of land dedicated to the coconut cultivation was 12.3 million hectares, or 30.4 million acres. According to the International Union for the Conservation for Nature, coconut production threatens many wildlife species and has contributed to Marian white-eye extinction.
If a scammer texted you this,
My female dog has given birth. Are you interested?
that would be
The rice milk and the coconut milk and the almond milk are very low in protein. So if you're looking to get a protein source, like a vegetarian or a plant-based protein source, these are not very good.
That's registered dietitian Marian Groch. Today she's going to help us sort through all of these different non-dairy milks and tell us which ones might just be better for you. In the last several years, the market for non-dairy milks has exploded. And that's great for the some 65% of adults who are lactose intolerant. But with more than a dozen varieties now crowding the dairy aisle, it's hard to know which one to choose. Ultimately, Groch says, it comes down to what you're looking for.
So if you're looking to get closest to cow's milk, I would probably go with the soy milk, just because it has more protein. It has about 7 grams of protein per cup, as opposed to 8 grams in cow's milk. And then oat milk is somewhere in between, about 4 grams of protein per cup of oat milk. Soy is high in protein because it comes from a bean, whereas oat comes from a grain and it tends to have less protein in it. The protein in the soy milk is also more complete. If you're looking to reduce your calories, almond milk might be a good choice. So the rice milk here is higher in calories, or the highest in calories. And then we have oat, soy, coconut, and almond milk is usually the lowest in calories.
But if you're trying to watch your fat intake, you might actually want to avoid coconut milk.
So soy has about 4 grams of fat per cup, and again, these are healthier fats than the fats that you might find in a 2% milk, but it's equivalent in the amount of fat. Oat milk about 3 grams, it depends on the brand. Coconut milk is a little bit higher. It's about 6 grams of fat. I don't really see the benefit to coconut milk. It's higher in saturated fats, although now we know that the saturated fat in coconut is probably not as detrimental to cardiovascular health as we once thought. But I think the jury is still out, and I wouldn't be taking a lot of saturated fats from coconut products right now.
But when you're choosing which milk to buy, there's more to consider than just protein, calories, and fat.
Most of them are fortified with vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin B12, but you have to purchase a fortified milk. So some are fortifying up to 45% of the daily value for calcium, whereas others are only fortifying up to 10%. So this rice milk is fortified with 30% of the daily value. So the daily value for calcium is 1,000 milligrams, and that covers most people. So 30% per cup would mean 300 milligrams of calcium per cup, and that's equivalent to cow's milk. Coconut milk actually is only fortified at 10%, so you'd only get 100 milligrams of calcium per cup. So it'd be difficult to meet your calcium needs if you're relying on a product like this for calcium. They're mostly not fortified with other nutrients like potassium. Soy milk actually is a good source of potassium, but some of the others are not. So it really just depends on the milk and how it's fortified. It depends on the brand.
And that's just it. Nutrients don't just vary by type of milk, like almond or soy, but by brand, like Blue Diamond or Silk. And so do calories and fat. So the best way to choose the right milk is simple. Check out the label.
Check out the label. Check out the label. We can't say that enough. We got to read labels for ourselves. And using these apps, right? Okay, cashew milk, we're almost done. It's made from soaking cashews in water. Cashews were first cultivated in South America. Portugal's colonization of South America introduced cashews to India in the 16th century, and there it was used in cooking and as a dairy milk substitute. Relates to the environment, cashew milk requires less water than almond milk to produce. They use more water than legumes like soy or seeds. Compared to other plant-based milks, cashew needs less land space. Expansion of cashew cultivation has led to deforestation and habitat loss in East Africa, India, and Vietnam.
If a scammer texted you this,
My female dog has given birth. Are you interested?
that would...
What's the best plant-based milk on the market? Well, I actually made a video years ago breaking it down, but a lot's changed since then, and more importantly, a lot hasn't changed. So I thought it was time to update that video and show you when it comes to oat milk, almond milk, non-dairy milk in general, what to look for, what to avoid, and why a lot of these products that people love have hidden ingredients I would never put in my body. Let's start with perhaps the most popular non-dairy milk on the market. It's Oatly, oat-based milk, and this is not Bobby approved, and the reason is very clear. When you look at the ingredients, it's oats and low uric acid rapeseed oil. My friends, rapeseed oil is another word for canola oil. So why are they putting canola oil in here, or why do other milks put sunflower oil in here? Because oats have very little fat, and they don't want to put too many oats in here or too many almonds. It gets expensive, so they put oils. The problem with rapeseed oil, aka canola oil, is that it's almost always GMO. This doesn't have non-GMO anywhere. Maybe it does on their website, but it's always a highly processed, highly inflammatory oil. It's to be avoided. Now, I will give them credit. The oats they're using are glyphosate-free, which is really important for oats. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. So this would be a no, but if you still want to drink Oatly, this is the one you get. I never, ever recommend low-fat milk, but the fat in this case is the rapeseed oil, and this is going to be without it. So this is technically Bobby approved. You're much better off with this than that. But all these non-dairy milks are going to be loaded with gums, oils, and emulsifiers. If you want the best ones on the market, they're more expensive, but here we go. Malk oat milk. Not only glyphosate-free, which is super important, no gums, no oils, no emulsifiers at all. 3 trees right here. This is oat and seed. No gums, no oils, no emulsifiers. And for shelf-stable, Elmhurst. Milked oats. These guys are on the glyphosate-free website too. See? no gums, no oils, emulsifiers. When you don't have those emulsifiers, you have to put more oats. You have to put more almonds. And the texture of this kind of milk I just mentioned is so much better than the ones that have the oils, gums, and emulsifiers. Those are kind of goopy. These are rich and creamy. Now, in my opinion, the best oat milk is not in stores yet. It's only online on their website and Thrive Market. It's called Kiki Milk. I love the company so much. I love the founder so much. I actually invested in the company in the beginning of this year. It's organic, glyphosate-free, oat-based with sprouted pumpkin seeds and coconut milk and Aquamin. The chocolate and the regular are unbelievably nutrient dense, clean as a whistle. I believe they're coming out with bigger 32-ounce containers. Go on Kiki Milk website, use promo code FlavCity, get 20% off your purchase. But look for those in oat milk. The other ones have a lot of oils and gums and emulsifiers you want to avoid. Let's talk about almond milk for a second. Public enemy number one for all of these non-dairy milks is if you ever see, boom, natural flavor, just avoid it. And this one has one too many emulsifiers for me. Sunflower lecithin, gellan guan, and locust bean gum. So the natural flavors and 3 different kinds of emulsifiers and gums, too much. Always get unsweetened too. And sometimes it's hard to tell. This is original. But original means that you're getting 7 grams of added cane sugar for 1 cup. 7 grams is just shy of 2 teaspoons of cane sugar. And in here also, at least there's no natural flavors, but that's way, way too much sugar. What I use for my smoothies, because I go through a ton of those, is actually this one right here. This is the Whole Foods organic one, and it's actually a very good deal. And yes, it does have gums, but it's minimal. I only see locust bean gum there, and where's the other one? Gellan gum. There's no sunflower lecithin, there's no sunflower oil, and I'm not going to use something like Kiki milk or oat milk from Elmhurst or Malk to make my daily smoothies for me and Rose and Desi, because it gets really expensive really quick. So for a economical version, this is great for going through smoothies. Thrive Market makes a great one. And then if you want the top shelf ones, once again, Malk makes a no emulsifier, no oil version. 3 Trees, same thing. This is vanilla bean, but instead of natural flavors, they use real vanilla beans. Now, you really do want to limit the amount of gums, oils, and emulsifiers, not because it's goopy, but because that many of them can be disruptive to your gut, especially for the little ones, which is why I like something like this, because it's minimal. And then if I'm going to drink it or use it for cereal, I'll use Kiki milk or one of the premium ones. I know Thrive Market brand almond milk also has no, or 1 emulsifier too. The key is to limit it, because excess ones can really add up and they're not gut friendly at all.
If a scammer texted you this?
My female dog has given birth. Are you interested?
Let's talk about some other milks that I see people scanning with the Bobby Approved app, and it kind of scares me, to be honest. This is called Not Milk. I think it's getting quite popular, and it's definitely not milk. But the first ingredients are water and then sunflower oil. There's sugar in here to the tune of 2 grams per serving, which is not terrible, but it's still half a teaspoon per serving. And there's also natural flavors in here. Why is sunflower oil the second ingredient? That's processed, inflammatory, free radical laden sunflower oil. This is not something you want to put in your body. But remember, when you're at the grocery store, use the Bobby Approved app. It's my free app. We have over 500,000 downloads. You can scan any food item, household item, personal care product, skincare, lotions, potions, goos. It tells you if it's Bobby Approved, meaning does it have best-in-class ingredients. If it's not Bobby Approved, it highlights the crappy one and will give you a better suggestion. Grab my app. It's free. People are loving it. So that's not something I would pick up. This. It's called Wonder Milk, and it makes me wonder why people are buying it, because it's oat-based, but they're also putting GMO soy protein isolate. They're putting sugar, and they're putting natural flavors. 1 cup has almost a teaspoon of sugar, but you got to ask yourself, why are they putting sunflower oil and soy protein? Well, soy protein will jack up the protein count. Sunflower oil emulsifies it because there's not much fat in here. Soy protein, even if it's non-GMO, which it is, it has non-GMO, you see it often in the grocery store. It's the cheapest, most inflammatory version of protein you can get. Obviously, hemp protein, pea protein would be better. That's expensive. soy protein is as cheap as they get. I wonder why they made this, but you should pass on Wonder Milk. Here's something that a lot of people enjoy. It's pea milk. Now, this is something that I would not drink for many reasons, but if you read the ingredients, high up there is cane sugar and sunflower oil. They put the synthetic vitamins in there, and there's natural flavors and gums and emulsifiers. The problem is 1 carton has a whopping 15 grams of added sugar per carton. My friends, 15 grams of sugar is just shy of 4 teaspoons. But why are they putting the sunflower oil in there? Because peas have no fat. They have to emulsify it and make it into a beverage, but they're using processed inflammatory sunflower oil. But my main issue with pea milk and rice milk, 2 milks I would never drink because of heavy metals. Peas can be high in arsenic. Rice milk can be high in arsenic too. I'm not saying those brands have it per se. I would just avoid that. And in my opinion, I would avoid soy milk too. Soy in general is just inflammatory. It's high in omega-6s and it's estrogen producing. Those are 3 milks I would just avoid. All right, that is it, my friends, for the plant-based milk review. Just in general, read the ingredients. If you see natural flavors, put it away. If you see added sugars, put it back. And try to limit the amount of gums and emulsifiers. But if you see oil, like rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, run, Forrest, run. You don't want these processed inflammatory oils in your body, and you don't want excessive gums and emulsifiers in your body too. And unfortunately, a lot of these brands have it. So that is it from the grocery store. I leave you like I always do. Hashtag keep on cooking. Mad love and peace. Later.
So there we have it. So now, since we've been doing milk most of our young lives, and maybe we've come to ourselves and recognized the dairy was definitely not the answer. Now we've got to take better choices, even with the plant-based, just because it says plant-based. But now, what are we going to do about all this stuff that's been in our bodies that we need to get out of our bodies? Because if we've been drinking any kind of milk, and even the plant-based ones that he's talked about that have a lot of things in it and the flavorings and etc., the only way to get it out is to detox. So again, we come to the same results at the end here. That's why it's important to detox the heavy metals, the toxins, the mucus, and we got to remove them. So we got to cleanse our intestinal and our bowels. We got to cleanse our blood vessels. We got to clear our lymphatic congestion so that you, that person who may be watching this, that's been dealing with asthma or congestion or mucus buildup, and your voice gets raspy all the time. All these things that are telltale signs that we've got an excess of mucus, then we've got to detox, read our labels, and recognize there is a solution. I hope you've gained something special from this. If you've liked this and you want to see other versions of other topics that we've talked about, go down to the bottom of the YouTube and hit subscribe and click the like button, and we'll see you next week at the same time.